Stories. We all love good stories. Relatable heroes, complicated villains, compelling plots, mind-blowing twists, conflict, suspense, and bittersweet endings. From fully grown adults to thumb-sucking children, everyone can recognize that these points collectively make up the whole of a great story. Whether it's in ancient Mesopotamia or Victorian London, human beings have been desiring and consuming stories of grand mythical adventure. Stories transcend many different mediums, like for instance in the form of Shakespeare's play, Hamlet, or for the film The Lion King, not the remake. Believe it or not, these two stories have had a profound impact on individuals and societies alike. So this begs the question, if great stories have the extraordinary power to inspire people to change their lives, then which story is the greatest? Only one story stands tall amongst the greats. The story of Yusuf. That's right, out of millions of tales weaved, none are as profound as the story of Yusuf. According to many scholars, Prophet Yusuf's story in Story of Yusuf is the best story ever told.
نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين.
Ahsan al-Qasas, the best of stories. And we're going to prove this. We're going to prove to you that the story of Yusuf is objectively one of, if not the best story ever told, in a way that's probably never been done before. How, you ask? Well, to do so, I'm going to be using one of the most popular and influential standards of modern storytelling. This book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces, written by Joseph Campbell. Or you can just call him Yusuf. Joseph Campbell took thousands of years of storytelling and mythology from all walks of life and studied their similarities and differences. He compiled a theory from this study called the hero's journey, which has now become the standard for modern storytelling. This theory was used by some of the most brilliant artistic minds to conjure memorable movies, write intelligent stories, and create meaningful content for billions of people to enjoy. As a matter of fact, The Hero with 1,000 Faces is often labeled as one of the top 100 most influential books written in the last 100 years. This is why we want to compare the story of Yusuf to the hero's journey. But what is the hero's journey? Simply put, it is a narrative cycle made up of 12 steps, whereby a hero goes on an adventure to face challenges and ultimately emerges victorious, having undergone a change. The steps represent an internal stage which the hero enters on his or her journey. Already sounds like every other movie we've watched, right? I will be walking you through every single step of this theory to prove to you that the story of Yusuf not only fulfills each and every step, but goes above and beyond and blows storytelling out of the ballpark. But first, just a disclaimer. I should probably say that in no way am I saying that Story of Yusuf is great because of this book. Story of Yusuf is great because Allah said so, full stop. Given its universal acceptance, we are just using the hero's journey as a comparative and universal standard. But first, Alhamdulillah, we learned so much about Story of Yusuf throughout the making of these videos to share with you. It took a lot of time, effort, and resources to pull this off. We would be so grateful if you, yes you, could contribute whatever you can to help make more of this type of content. Any amount would be greatly appreciated. And if you like this video, then please let us know by clicking the like button, comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe. 86% of you who watch are not subscribed. So make sure to subscribe to our channel to get all the latest, greatest content as soon as they come out. May Allah reward you, and now let's get back to the video. Okay, let's begin our journey. Starting at Step 1. Status Quo. This stage sets the scene. Our hero is ordinary, living in an ordinary world. It may not be good or bad, but they are complacent with their current situation. So what is the status quo in Story of Yusuf? In just a few verses, we come to know Yusuf as a young boy who lives under the wing of his loving and caring father, Yaqub. In fact, their relationship was so strong that Yusuf's brothers felt extremely envious of him. Step 2. Call to adventure. Our hero may feel like he or she is comfortable, but that doesn't mean that they do not want to change. As a matter of fact, they need to change. They need a call to adventure to leave their ordinary, comfortable world, just like Yusuf. Destiny has summoned the hero. The young, soon-to-be prophet received his call in the form of a dream. He had seen the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrating to him. This dream signaled to Yusuf the journey that awaited him. Step 3. Refusal of the call. The hero initially hesitates or resists the call due to his fear or doubt. This is due to his or her familiarity with the current world and the unknowns of entering the new world. Campbell accurately says that refusal is essentially a refusal to give up what one takes to be one's own interests. Neither Yusuf nor his father necessarily refuses the call. Knowing that this call is from Allah, they trust His decree and take the necessary precautions. The only hesitation in this matter was the potential danger of the brother's envy. Step 4. Assistance. Behind every great hero is a great mentor. The mentor is someone who can help guide our hero along his journey. They usually take the form of a father or a father figure whose valuable wisdom and guidance are of utmost importance for their hero to complete his or her journey. Campbell describes this figure as a benign protecting power of destiny. In Yusuf's case, he begins his journey with the assistance of his first mentor, his own father, Yaqub. Jacob, being the wise prophet, was justifiably worried for the safety of his beloved son and knew exactly what to do in that instance. His father interprets the dream as a revelation from God and warns him never to mention this to his brothers out of fear of their jealousy. Advice that would go on to take the form of a prediction. Step 5. Departure. Our hero has received the call to adventure, and his mentor has equipped him with the necessary tools to take his endeavor. Now it's time to answer it, either willingly or unwillingly. The hero must enter the unknown. In Yusuf's case, unwillingly. His brothers couldn't handle their jealousy any longer, so they deceivingly convinced their father to take him into the woods to play. Instead, they had cunningly devised a plan to throw Yusuf down a well, hoping to rid him from their lives. A cruel act that caused Yusuf to depart his world and enter another. Yusuf's adventure has just begun. Step 6. Trials. Being launched into an unknown world, the hero must overcome challenges along the way. These challenges serve as opportunities for growth and transformation. During this stage, the hero must learn to form new alliances and counter adversaries. Yusuf was alone for the first time in his life, betrayed by his own brothers and stuck in a deep, dark well. One can only understand the trauma of undergoing such a trial, but this was just the start. Yusuf had been discovered by a band of travelers. Much to his delight, they had rescued him. But instead of doing the right thing and returning the young boy to his father, they instead thought to make a quick profit by selling him into the slave market. An ally turned adversary. He had been purchased by a wealthy man named Al-Aziz. Yusuf would expect nothing but cruelty in his enslavement, but it just so happened that Al-Aziz was a kind man. He would treat Yusuf with kindness and good treatment. An adversary turned ally. It was from these critical events Yusuf grew and developed his understanding of the world he came to inhabit. Step 7. Approach. From the learnings, growth, and development of the trials the hero faced, he now becomes closer to his ultimate goal. Maybe the hero believes that he has reached his peak, or maybe they think there's no more to their journey. But they are mistaken. A challenger approaches when the hero least expects. They are confronted with the reality that they are not even close to the end. Yusuf became close to Al-Aziz, climbing the social ladder and developing skills in public dealings. Growing up in Al-Aziz's household had many perks, but one major problem: Zulaykha, Al-Aziz's wife. You see, Zulaykha had been keeping a close eye on Yusuf growing up. She had desired Yusuf for herself and wanted to take him even if it meant falling into sin. So she trapped him in her chamber and ordered him to come to her. Yusuf, being a righteous prophet of Allah, wanted nothing to do with this sin. So he raced to the door. She had caught up to him and ripped his shirt. Now, imagine this scene. Who should open the door but Al-Aziz? Step 8. Crisis. The point at which our hero faces the greatest challenge. Every previous thing that the hero learned is now put to the test. The hero has now entered the belly of the beast. After spending years living in a wealthy household, serving a master who had been kind to him, Yusuf's world is about to be flipped upside down once again. Al-Aziz had found his wife and his servant in quite an awkward predicament. He immediately issues a trial on the spot to see what happened. Zulaykha immediately accuses the innocent Yusuf of rape, even though all the evidence points towards her doing. Al-Aziz, out of embarrassment of this shameful story going out and leaking into the public, told Yusuf to forget this and dismissed his wife as if nothing happened. But word travels fast, and Zulaykha's mischief became the talk of the town, especially amongst the elite women. Yusuf had to bear the brunt of this nightmare. Zulaykha insisted on getting her way with him whether he liked it or not. She gave him an ultimatum. Either she gets her way with him, or she sends him straight to prison for the rest of his life. Here you can actually see the wickedness of Zulaykha's intent. Either she indulges in adultery or seeks revenge by unjustly imprisoning Yusuf. Yusuf, being the strong hero in this story, chose prison. And so Al-Aziz had sent him to prison on unsubstantiated charges. Once again, Yusuf has found himself in a dark place with no hope but to rely on his Lord. Having spent years in prison, Yusuf had come across two individuals who sought his interpretation of dreams they had seen. Being given this privileged knowledge by Allah, Yusuf interpreted the prisoner's dreams and recognized only one of them was going out alive. So he said to the man to mention him before the king so that justice could be done in his case. However, once the man was released, he completely forgot to do so. And so Yusuf was left in prison for several more years. His hope of ever being released had been quashed. His only hope is Allah. Step 9. Reward. The hero, having endured his trial of danger, is now at their lowest point. The journey so far has worn and torn him, and if he's patient, then he will be rewarded. The king of Egypt had seen a dream which deeply concerned him. He consulted his close advisors for some interpretation. None had any idea as to what the dream meant, and so even dismissed it as false dreams. The same man who had forgotten all about Yusuf just so happened to be in the king's court at that moment. He finally remembered his dream interpreting cellmate after all these years, and so he went back to Yusuf to explain the dream for his interpretation. Yusuf interpreted the dream as a prophecy waiting to happen. For 7 years, the kingdoms will plant and it will harvest plentiful crops. This will be followed by 7 years of difficulty. When the king heard this, he asked for Yusuf to come to his palace, but to everyone's surprise, Yusuf rejected the offer. He said to the messenger for the king to look into the matter of his imprisonment. Lo and behold, after investigating, Zulaykha admitted to wrongfully accusing him of sexual assault. As a result of this revelation, Yusuf was released from his imprisonment, and not only that, the king appointed Yusuf as the chief minister of all of Egypt. Decades of desperately surviving in the lower echelons of society to rapidly rise to the most powerful executive position in the entire kingdom in just one decision. The hero had finally earned the reward. Step 10. The road back. The hero had attained the top prize and renewed his or her sense of purpose. Now there is only one way to go. It's time for the hero to return back home. But Yusuf is now the chief minister of the king. How is he going to return home? Well, in Yusuf's case, home came to him. His long-lost brothers have come to the chief minister to ask for provisions. Only unbeknownst to them, they didn't know that the same chief minister is their young brother, Yusuf alayhi salam, whom they cruelly threw down the well so many years ago. Yusuf devised a plan to test his brothers to see if they were still up to their old ways. The main part of the plan was to get the brothers to obtain their younger brother, Benjamin, from their father and hand him over to Yusuf for keeping and see how they handle it. Yusuf placed a goblet cup in one of the saddles of Benjamin and demanded the brothers explain themselves. One of the brothers immediately makes up the absurd lie that a previous brother, Yusuf, had once stolen before, and it wouldn't be unlikely that Benjamin would steal as well. They had selfishly placed themselves before their younger brother once again, and Yaqub had lost his son once again. Stricken with grief, Yaqub loses his eyesight as a result of his grief over his lost sons. If they were desperate before, now they are hopeless. They go back to Yusuf begging to trade their subpar merchandise for provision to feed their starving father. When Yusuf saw them bend the knee in desperation, he revealed that he was indeed their long-lost brother, Yusuf. They admitted their wrongdoing and sought his forgiveness. Yusuf didn't criticize them or admonish them. Famously, he said, "There will be no condemnation on you today." Yusuf gives the brothers his shirts and takes it to their father. He instructed them to wipe the shirt over their father's face to cure his blindness and to bring the entire family over to Egypt to live there. Step 11. New life. The hero is now back home, whether that be literally or figuratively, and now leads a new life. Jacob, his family, and by extension the rest of his tribe are welcomed into Egypt by Yusuf. Step 12. Restoration. The last stage of the hero's journey. After returning home, our hero lives with a renewed sense of perspective on life and wisdom. Like a circle, the hero is back where he started, but everything is different. Finally, Yusuf's decade-long journey has now ended. He sits his parents on the throne to honor them. Suddenly, his family fell into prostration out of respect, thus fulfilling the prophecy entailed in the dream that Yusuf had seen as a young boy decades before. Think about that. Yusuf, as a young child, barely able to take care of himself, was wise enough to trust Allah to see his plan through to the very end. Yusuf's journey was planned by the best of planners. So we just proved to you that a chapter in the Quran revealed over 1,400 years ago by an unlettered merchant who lived in the middle of the desert on a peninsula which had been untouched by empires has a narrative structure that's thematically complex, linguistically intricate, and ticks off every checkpoint of a study compiled only decades ago. I don't know about you, but I just got chills. When it comes to Surah Yusuf and other chapters in the Quran alike, to speak of their gems in a short video is doing a disservice to their greatness. And here's the thing, we only spoke about the story structure in the English language. We haven't even touched on the Arabic linguistic meanings of the verses. Just in this single chapter contains an ocean of knowledge, pearls of wisdom, and lessons for us to absorb and implement in our lives. Whether it's self-reflection, handling grief, exerting patience, utilizing power, or showing forgiveness, our own Prophet Muhammad ﷺ found great solace and comfort in reading Surah Yusuf during the most difficult year of his life, the year of grief. And that's the thing about great stories. They don't exist to entertain or distract people from reality. They exist to inspire change within people. Whether it's grief, confusion, sadness, or maybe even fear, you can definitely be sure to seek the answers in the stories of the Quran. You only need to pick it up and read. Dive into the trials of Ayub, the triumph of Musa over Pharaoh, or Yunus being swallowed whole by a whale. And who knows, maybe you'll be inspired to create some of your own stories. And maybe someday you can inspire change in the next generation. You never know.